So, I have 70 hours, give or take, in Le Mans Ultimate and have a gold-rated license already. So, how did I get to this license so quickly? I would say it's because I'm on very good settings. And in sim racing, it doesn't really matter how good a driver you are. If you're on rubbish settings, you're always going to be up against it. So, from top to bottom, here are my Le Mans Ultimate settings. Okay, so first things first, make sure Le Mans Ultimate is installed on an SSD that has space on it, because if you put it on a HDD, you might come across issues like screen freezes and stuttering. It can get quite bad, so that is very important. And before we look into the actual game settings, before we do that, let me quickly get out my wheel and pedal settings. So I'm on a Simmercube 2 Ultimate wheelbase and then Heisenberg Ultimate Plus pedals. So if we go into my Le Mans Ultimate profile on True Drive, you can see those are the settings there. 100% force feedback, 900 wheel rotation, which is really important. And then all the rest of the settings are there for you to see and copy and give them a go. There they are. That's the wheelbase. Let's quickly go to the smart control Heisenberg settings. So I run completely linear pedals on all three. Not that the clutch really gets used. I have these dead zones in them. And then I have the soft elastomer in the pedal, the brake pedal, and then I run it at 50 kilos. So it's not too sensitive, but at the same time, it's not crazy hard to hit. So with a decent press, I can get it to the maximum, but it's not sensitive enough to, it doesn't mean I lock up all the time, which is very important in Le Mans Ultimate because all the cars don't have ABS. And yet, those are my wheelbase and pedal settings. I'm going to load up the game now, and we will run through my game settings. Okay, so once we're in, let's go to settings, obviously, and we'll go through gameplay very quickly. Not that it's that important, but you can just quickly see. So I've got all the assists off. I know there was a thing at the beginning of the game where if you ran ABS, you had to run more weight in some races. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore, but ABS was rumoured to be quicker. I don't run any assists though, apart from auto start engine, just makes my life a bit easier. Those are the AI settings there, not that I really play offline. But here you go, down here is the HUD. So I run a mixture of the game HUD, Race Lab overlays, and Tiny Pedal, which you'll see in a minute. And these are the ones in game that I have on and off, so you can copy those if you do like my overlay, which you'll see in a minute. And then replays, have a little instant replay, 20 seconds long, and network settings. So I have gigabyte internet. So yeah, those are the settings on that page. Let's go to controls, which is probably more important. These are what I've got mapped on my wheel and pedals. So not all of them, but most of them. And then car controls, again, a few of the essentials like pit speed limiter and all that. Traction control override, that's a really interesting little setting, especially in, say, the LMP2 car when it's fixed setup and it's really understeery. I do hold that. As soon as you come off it, it stops working, so you have to hold it to get it to work. But on exits, if you don't want the TC to engage, you can just hold that and it does give you a slightly better exit. It's risky if you get it wrong, obviously you're going to spin the car, but I do find that a very useful tool in this game. None of the others are mapped here. Gameplay settings, nothing. Camera, pretty sure is nothing as well. Calibration tools, so I don't run any dead zones or anything like that. Sensitivity's at 100%. And then down here you've got the steering wheel range from vehicle on, so it adjusts from car to car. 900 maximum wheel rotation, same as in my Simmercube profile. The camera physics, I turn them all off. I don't like the in-game camera moving around as if the driver's head's moving around. I find that really disorientating. Head vibration off. These settings took a little while to get fully dialed in because I wasn't sure how the game worked or how to get the most out of it. And I ended up with the settings being on this. And then advanced wheel tweaks. You can see use gear select button, hold on. Never release device off. Moving to force feedback. So you can see on 32 steering torque capability, 25% in-game strength, so 100% in the profiler, 25% in-game. Smoothing, this was quite a key one, putting it to 8. If you run it on 0, the curbs feel like you're hitting a brick wall and it's really hard to drive. So yeah, putting this up to 8, which is what I ran it on in R Factor 2. This game used to be R Factor 2 in a way, but a lot of the settings from R Factor 2 did transfer over to Le Mans Ultimate quite well actually. Minimum steering torque 0, collision strength 20%, steering torque sensitivity 100%, and then use constant steering force effect off. So those are my wheel and pedals. I've got a few buttons mapped to the keyboard, such as ignition, starter, shift to neutral, so I didn't want to have that on the wheel just in case I accidentally hit it whilst driving, which would be pretty disastrous, to be honest. So I've got it on the keyboard, so if I want to go to neutral, say I've spun and I want to press reverse, I go to neutral on my keyboard. I have to purposely go like that, and then I go to reverse, and then I sort myself out. And then if we go down to the actual specific graphic settings here, I do run it sort of medium, not really low, but not really high at the same time, just so I get a decent amount of FPS. So usually I'm getting between 200 to 250 FPS, and I've got a decent PC. PC specs are in the description below if you want to go and check them out, but I don't run it on the best settings, I don't run it on the worst settings. You can just see there. Special effects and shadows, I really don't think you need on, to be honest, unless that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for it to look amazing, then obviously you will have it on, but I'm sort of running it with enough to make it look good, but anything excess, I don't run it, I just don't need it. These are all pretty much default, apart from, so I have the steering wheel on just so I can see the in-game steering wheel. I always prefer that. I feel like I can see what the car's doing, as well as feel it and hear it. I can also see what the wheel's doing, and it just gives me an extra sense to react to things with the car. You know, sim racing, everything's stripped away from you, the seat of the pants feel and stuff. For me, it gives me an extra sense. And then Lock Horizon, I run on low. The tracks like Sebring and maybe Le Mans a bit bumpy as well. Where it is a bit bumpy, if I run that on off, I just really struggle to see the corners because the car's porpoising so much. So yeah, putting it on low just stabilizes the horizon a little bit and just makes things a bit easier to drive. So FOV as well on 36. I always typically run my FOV between 36 and 40, depending on what game I'm on. If we go to sound settings, so maximum effects, I turn the spotter off. I find them really annoying. Spotter lap times, never. All of this is pretty much default. Those are, I just turn the master volume down. Obviously, like most games, it's very loud when you run it all the way to the top. I do have the menu music off as well. It was pretty cool, that song, for until about, I don't know, an hour of listening to it, and then it just got annoying, so I had to turn that off. Okay, I've just jumped into a server quickly just to show you a couple of other things before we wrap this up. So if I start driving, one thing I always do is, me personally, I always raise the seating position quite a lot. Usually it's to the maximum, but this car's got a very low windscreen cutoff, so I do run it a bit lower, but I never run it this low. Maybe it's just ergonomically where I'm sat in my rig versus where the screen is. I just prefer it to be a bit higher. I feel like I could see the apexes a bit easier. And then if I pull out of the pits a minute, you'll see the overlay come to life. Okay, so I run a combination of in-game HUD, race lab overlays, which I also use on iRacing, and Tiny Pedal. So the track map, the lap time box, the fuel calculator, the delta are all race lab. And so in terms of Tiny Pedal, I don't have many of the widgets on. I've got brake temperature, damage, just things that the game doesn't offer me by default. I turn them on with Tiny Pedal. So tyre carcass, tyre temperature, weather, and the weather forecast. So it's a lot of information on the screen, but as it's a new game and I'm trying to learn it and I'm trying to figure out how the game works, I just thought I need as much info as possible to really get an understanding of how it works. So I actually think the way it's all laid out looks pretty decent. It's not distracting. And yeah, I'll leave a link in the description for both Race Lab overlays and Tiny Pedal, so you can go and download those and try them out, and you can customize it till the cows come home, so you can literally get it exactly how you want it. And yeah, a final thing, if you want to see how to get data and telemetry login working, then watch till the end of the video and we will get to that. So there you go then, those are my settings on Le Mans Ultimate. There's a link to a folder in the description below, which will take you to a folder with all the settings that I've shown you in this video in, but also in that folder are the instructions to get data and telemetry logging working, and the Motec workbook I use, so you can basically see all the data in exactly the same way as I see it. And also in this folder is the dashboard I use for on my grid engineering dash. The dash layout and template I use is also in there. Pretty generic, but it works. It gives me all the info I need. Yeah, enjoy playing Le Mans Ultimate. I'll see you on the next video very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.